Okay, what we're looking at is the back of Greenie's transmission. If you look in the center of the screen, right above that little screw, that's your adjusting nut, goes to the back of the transmission, there's a 4-0. And there's an F and a 0 up here. And over here, on this side, in the back, right under here, whoops, right under here, right under my finger, right there, that's a 0. And I lift this up carefully with a screwdriver and you can barely make it out. I don't know if this is captured or not, but that's a 0. This is a 40 kicker cover. It's got the little cover right here on the top there that's not vented, with the vented screw there with a 4-0 on the back of the tranny. Now we're going to walk over to this other 40 here. Hold on. Let's walk over here. And see if we can get it there. There's a 4-0 right there in the back of this transmission. Okay. And we got the 0 on the back of the kicker cover. Now, I'm going to hand this over to Ophi. Talk a little bit about these beautiful bikes.
You're out of focus.
Go ahead and swing around here and refocus it. Now, it's important for y'all to understand, first off, I don't edit these videos. I don't do it for a reason. The reason is this: I don't want anybody at any time to be able to say, I'm only showing something to cause an effect. That's why you edit. So this is raw footage. It will always be raw footage, and that's how I want to keep it. Now, this poor little bike, one of the guys called it best. He said it's like opening King Tut's tomb. Well, when the experts went down to King Tut's tomb, they actually kept an open mind, and we're still learning stuff today from King Tut's tomb that they had no idea was capable of even being learned when they opened King Tut's tomb. This is the reality of 1940. They doubled production. Any manufacturer, when they're all of a sudden selling lots more than they thought, let alone double production, they're going to run out of stuff. And they're going to grab last year's stuff, they're going to grab next year's stuff. Next year's stuff is already on the shelf 6 months or a year ahead of time, waiting to go. That doesn't necessarily mean it was documented. Harley Davidson documents, well, most of them got burned up in the 60s. Some people out there have gone to the Harley Davidson archives and mysteriously come up with original documentation from the Harley archives, who have gotten their names in books. And now because they got their name in a book, they think they're an expert. And I'm talking to you, Mr. Chris Haynes, Mr. Non-Expert. This is what Chris Haynes knows. You see this beautiful 40 right here? This is an original paint machine. We have documentation. This is documentation. We have the original title from day of sale. We have pictures all the way back through the 40s. You see this here? This here is damage from the winter windshield. You see the badge. There's no side damage here because later on he put 47 badges and updated it and then took them back off. This is the cop. These are the articles in the paper. I've got a whole photo book on this bike. It was discovered somewhere around 73 to 75. We don't know the date because nobody wrote it down, and the guys who did the discovering forgot. Okay? He calls it on a national judging forum a repaint with an aftermarket exhaust. Well, how the hell did you put an aftermarket exhaust on a bike when it was discovered before any aftermarket exhausts were made? Didn't happen, Chris Haynes. He put it on a national judging forum in writing of his opinion. Well, this is how good he is in his opinions. He brings to a national AMCA event a repainted 45 trike. Fresh paint, smelling of fresh paint, and calls it original paint, and got booted out of an AMCA national meet. This is a guy who's never had an original paint bike in his entire life. He's never restored a bike in his entire life. All he's got is a mouth. Every time he's showing up to LA chapter events, he's badgered everybody from the food, the people, the bikes, everything's wrong. His shit doesn't stink. Well, I'm gonna pant you in front of the world, Mr. Chris. I told you, don't talk to me anymore at Vegas. Ever. And you still gotta run your mouth. Well, I'm done with you. Now another expert out there, and I'll give Chris and Matt you know, kudos. At least they use their name when they post. All these other fools are hiding under their nicknames. Matt McManus. Matt, dude, I've been doing this 32 years, man. How old are you, 30, 35? I've been doing it since you were a little toddler. I've had thousands of bikes, and you know what? I'm not an expert. You've had 3 original paint bikes. You've helped Ed Carver get 20, maybe, assuming you helped him with all his 20. You're not an expert, man. You weren't there. You weren't there when this stuff was coming out, when it was from the guys who bought it new. You weren't there. You haven't been around. You missed the curve. You were born at the wrong time to get the knowledge. And I'm not an expert. I've had far more than almost everybody else, and I'm not an expert. So how the hell are you 2 experts who haven't had? You're not. So let's all calm down about this beautiful bike. I bought it for a reason because I know what it is. So I really don't care about everybody else's opinions. But I'm nice enough and courteous enough to share with the world what I'm finding on this bike. Now, as you saw, we had a little piece of paper in here. I've never seen that. We still had a little piece of paper in the parts box. It came right out of the Speedo right here. I called up a buddy of mine who's got a 40 as nice as this. He's got a 42 as nice as this. You know what he's got? He's got little pieces of paper right here. Well, I've never had the dashes off those 2 bikes, so we're going to take another video in a minute. We're going to pull the dashes off these bikes and find out if we got little pieces of paper. So, trying to find your little piece of paper in the Harley parts book. It was obviously something common done. It might have been done on all of them. Now my buddy Richard Ostrander, he says, oh man, mine was messed up with and blah, blah, blah. I says, and how was that? He says, well, it's got a 41 Speedo. I said, well, so does mine. He said, well, it had 36 tanks and shift gate. I says, and? Maybe it came that way. They ran out of stuff. Mr. Big on the CIAMagsite.com puts vintage pics of the day, and he was nice enough to put a picture of a brand new bike with 40 sheet metal, a 41 license plate, 36 shift gate, 36, 37 rear stand, and a 40 rocker clutch. Okay, well 40 is a 1-year only rocker clutch. It's really compact. It's actually kind of difficult to use. Nobody put a 40 rocker clutch on a 36 or 7 with a nice easy to use rocker clutch back in the day. Didn't happen. So you got a 40, which I can't prove, that's my opinion, with a 36 shift gate and a 36, 37 rear stand because they ran out of parts. Okay, 40s were an oddball year. They made all kinds of weird stuff. They did all kinds of weird stuff, and they didn't write none of it down because they didn't care because they were selling bikes out the door as fast as they could. They doubled production. They ran out of stuff. Now, we're going to continue documenting this beautiful bike, and sooner or later, I'm going to find more supporting bikes or evidence. But we got a 40 tranny. Nobody put a 39 shift gate and 39 gears in a bike like this with a 40 tranny. Didn't happen, man. Wake up. Wake up. You can be in denial all you want. Well, when the tsunami comes, you know what happens? Either you wake up and you run for higher ground or you drown. This is a tsunami of knowledge. You can either learn from it or you can be in denial. I don't care. See you guys in the next video.